Good morning, everybody. This is Mikael from Healthwise Enterprise, the health food store. It's located at 3807 East 8 Mile Road, about 3 blocks west of Ryan, between Ryan and DeQuinda, but some people say we're between Taco Bell and Long John Silver. We're there to service you Monday through Saturday from 10 to 7. You can call us directly at the store at 586-757, diet. Again, that's 586-757-3438. The old number still works, 366 diet. Okay. And if you want to contact me directly for sharing information, etc., you can call me on my cell phone at 313-600-8532. Another friend of mine, one of my mentors, I won't say his name, I just learned this weekend, he has stage 4 cancer. And he didn't want to tell nobody. And like I said, it's very interesting. Um, but again, he knows better. He knows what to do. Um, and so hopefully he's doing just that. So I dedicated this show to him, and because he didn't tell his family till recently, I'm not gonna give out his name. But oh boy, um, the big C, the cancer, and so I ran across a couple articles. One is by McCullough, why medicines won't allow cancer to be cured. It's interesting that I ran across this article back in, seemed like it was the 80s, 60s. Okay, it may have been early 70s, about this doctor from Germany who got a Nobel Peace Prize, one of the highest prizes in the world that you can get, for curing people for 8 years of all kind of cancer with hydrogen peroxide. One more molecule of oxygen added to your water. You know, water is H2O. Hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. And cancer cannot stand oxygen. It actually kills it. From 1923 to 1931. After that, I guess he stopped using the treatment because the medicine won't allow. Interesting. His name was Dr. Otto Warburg, Warburg. It's, and interesting, even McCullough mentioned it in his article. Of course, he mentioned it at the very end, but he did mention it that uh, the Dr. Otto Warburg, Otto Warberg, was actually given a Nobel Peace Prize over 75 years ago for figuring out that, without a doubt, the most powerful essential strategy I know of to treat cancer is to starve the cells by depleting them of their food source. Unlike your body cells, which can burn carbs or fat for fuel, cancer cells have lost their metabolic flexibility. Dr. Otto Warburg was actually given a Nobel Peace Prize 75 years ago for figuring this out, but virtually no articolius actually used this information. I know I messed that word up, but it's ONCOLOGIS. That's at the end of the article. I wanted to start there to let you know that that's one of the things that's in the Silver Water program is oxygen. Besides the silver killing the cancer cells, the oxygen kills the cancer cells. And I was reading in this article that turmeric has the active ingredient curcumin. It has potent anti-inflammatory and anti-carcinogenic properties. Okay, the turmeric. Raw foods and juices retain their enzymes, which promote oxidation. Raw fruits and raw foods retain their enzymes, which promotes oxidation. Now, I got that from another doctor, because I'm not a doctor, a lawyer, nutrition, or dietitian. I share information. Of course, it's not to diagnose or treat. If you have an ailment, we always encourage you to go to your doctor or your health physician. But bringing this information, why it's we don't know why. It's fascinating document on Dr. McCullough's website exposing the corruption of the cancer industry and the extreme measures that they will undertake to discredit, imprison, and professionally destroy any physician who treats cancer patients naturally. One million Americans are diagnosed with cancer each year, and one person of three will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. 2 of every 3 will die from cancer within 5 years. The average cancer patient spends $50,000 fighting the disease, making the cancer industry a $50 billion per year industry. A medical monopoly is not motivated to find a cure when treatment is so lucrative. Many natural treatments have been used successfully with cancer. Many. But the treatments are hushed, they buried, and kept out of public view with smear campaigns funded by the medical cartel. I remember Dick Gregory used to call them gangsters and hoodlums and thugs. My top 12 cancer preventing strategies are listed, including tips for eating, sleeping, exercising, and managing stress. See, all this stuff is doable. We can't stop the medical industry from doing what they're doing. They got, it's about 500 congressmen, and they give them, $1 to $2 million, and they can do whatever they tell them to do. And there's more lobbyists, medical lobbyists in Washington than any other group. So they got any laws coming down the pipe, they got them on lockdown. Keep this machine going. That's some major gangster stuff. Imagine a commercial plane crashed and there was some fatalities involved. You can be sure that would make the headlines of every major newspaper. Well, we have the equivalent of 8 to 10 planes crashing every day, with everyone on board dying from cancer. Nearly 2 million Americans are diagnosed with cancer every year. 1 person out of 3 will be hit with a cancer diagnosis at some time in their life, in spite of the massive technology advances over the past half century. Western American is so close to finding a cancer cure, while cancer has grown into a worldwide epidemic of staggering proportions. The statistics speaks for themselves. In the early 1900s, 1 in 20 people develop cancer. In the 40s, 1 in 16 people develop cancer. In the 70s, 1 in 10 develop cancer. And today, 1 in 3. According to the CDC, about 1.6 million new cancer cases are expected to be diagnosed in the year 2013. If overall death rates are falling, why are incident rates still on the rise? The answer is simple. The 40-year war on cancer has been a farce. The cancer epidemic is a dream for Big Pharma, and their campaigns to silence cancer cures have been fierce, which is a tale well told in a document film above called Cancer, the Forbidden Cures. The cancer machine. Please understand that cancer is big business. The cancer industry is spending virtually nothing on its multi-billion-dollar resources on effective prevention strategies such as dietary guidelines, exercise, and obesity education. Instead, it pours its money into treating cancer, not preventing and not curing. Why would they shoot their cash cow? If they keep the well-oiled cancer machine running, they will continue to make massive profits on the chemotherapy drugs, the radiation, the diagnosis procedures, and surgeries. The typical cancer patient spends $50,000 fighting the disease. Chemotherapy drugs are among the most expensive of all treatments, many ranging from $3,000 to $7,000 for 1 month supply. If the cancer institute allowed a cure, then the patient's base goes away. It makes more sense to keep a steady stream of cancer patients alive, but sick and coming back for more. How did this social monster come about? The featured document is enormous information. It details how the pharmaceutical industry partnered with the American Medical Association in an ingenious plan to overtake the medical system in 4 steps. Each step back in the early 1990s. In a nutshell, it went something like this. Step number 1. International bankers that own the drug and chemical companies gained control over the medical education systems over 100 years ago. I remember the Harveys had a book, Fit for Life, and he talked about back in the 30s, the medical industry sent this guy around all the medical schools and told them that if you accept our program, we'll fund your school with tons of money. And those that didn't, well, they got wiped out. Number 2, they gave grants to AMA and leading medical schools in exchange for seats on their board and the ability to control the policies. Number 3, finally, they cleverly engineered the control of virtually every federal regulatory agency relating to the practice of medicine. Gangsta. Don't you dare cure anyone. In spite of the enormous amount of money funneled into the cancer research today, 2 out of 3 cancer patients will be dead within 5 years after receiving all or part of the standard cancer treatment trilogy: surgery, radiation, and chemo. This is not too surprising when you consider that 2 of the 3 are carcinogenic themselves. One study estimates that chemotherapy benefits about 1 of every 20 people receiving it. Over the past 100 years, a number of natural cancer treatments have been developed and used successfully to treat patients in the United States and other countries. All have been vehemently discounted, silenced, and pushed under the rug by the medical monopoly, with physicians and researchers attacked, smeared, sent to prison, and professionally ruined for daring to deny the medical establishment. To this day, with respect to credibility and the medicine quack is synonymous with competition. In order to protect the medical monopoly, any viable medical treatment is met with massive opposition by the pharmaceutical and medical industry. Drug companies have no interest in natural agents that they cannot patent because they interfere with their revenue stream. They will go and have gone to extreme measures to prevent the truth about effective natural treatments, competitive treatments, from reaching the public. The FDA is now, thanks to the PDUFA, primarily funded by the drug companies. Now that one's news to me, y'all. The FDA, the Federal Drug Agency, is now primarily funded by the drug companies and is completed in this process. They restrict competition in the guise of protecting the public, when the reality is they are protecting the profits of the drug companies. I see somebody, I don't know if she's watching the show, Lamia, but if you want to get with me, just send me a text message. Because sometimes people have a hard time hearing me for some reason. Like I say, the shows before I come on, the shows after I come on, I have no problem with the sound. But when I come on, it got technical difficulties. I can't tell you how many times that has happened. The top 12 cancer prevention strategies. There's so much you can do to lower your risk of cancer, but please don't wait until you get the diagnosis. You have to take preventive steps now. It's much easier to prevent cancer than to treat it once it takes hold. I believe you can virtually eliminate your risk of cancer and chronic diseases and radically improve your chances of recovering from cancer if you currently have it by following these relatively simple strategies in your control. Food preparation. Eat at least 1/3 of your food raw. Now, it's of course so better to get organic. But you remember those plugs we have at Healthwise? You can put it next to your phone to neutralize the electromagnetic field that's emanated from the cell phones. You can put it next to your fresh fruits and fresh vegetables from anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. It will turn that fresh fruit and vegetable back to its organic state and neutralize the pesticides, herbicides, nitrates, that may be in and on your fruits and vegetables, based on research that we got from uh, um, the people who developed the plug. Avoid frying or charcoal boiling. Instead, you want to boil, poach, or steam your foods instead. Consider adding cancer-fighting whole foods like herbs and spices to supplement your diet, such as broccoli, curcumin that you'll find in the turmeric. Okay, that's the turmeric that I told you that helped my mom's deal with her dementia and Alzheimer's. Now we got her taking 1,000 milligrams per day. It's got 100 at 765 milligrams of curcumin. To turmeric gives you 100 milligrams of curcumin, and this curcumin is what they listed in here as one of those foods that helps to fight a number of diseases. Resveratrol. So, broccoli, curcumin, resveratrol. To know more about how these anti-cancerous foods fight cancer, you can see our article to talk about dramatically effective new natural ways to starve cancer cells and obesity. Food. Remember, food actually heals the body. We got the stabilized greens that Wayne Rowland who put together that go along with the Civil Water Program. And we've had sisters who normally we suggest people take 2 to 4 tablespoons a day. They took it every time McDonald's commercial came on, which we estimated to be 6 to 8 times a day. And in 1 month, the sister had the tumor. She said she was reported it was gone, and the one that had the cyst, it was gone. And here we talk about food preparation. Number 2, carbohydrates and sugar. Reduce or eliminate processed foods. Fructose, sugar, grain-based foods from your diet. Reduce or eliminate these processed foods. This applies to whole, unprocessed, organic grains as well, as they tend to rapidly break down and drive your insulin levels up. The evidence is quite clear that if you want to avoid cancer or you currently have cancer, you absolutely must avoid all forms of sugar, especially fructose, which feeds cancer cells to promote their growth. Make sure your total glucose intake is around 25 grams daily, including fruit. Number 3, proteins and fats. Consider reducing your protein level to 1 gram per kilogram of lean body weight. It would be unusual for most adults to need more than 100 grams of protein, and most likely close to half of that amount. Now, I think it's 28 grams equal an ounce, so that's about a little bit close to like 4 ounces. Replace excess protein with high-quality fats, such as organic eggs from pasteurized hens, or hens that was free-range hens or free-range chickens. High-quality meats, again, that's free-range or grass-fed meats. Avocados and coconut oil. Coconut oil, over and over again, is rich in the lauric acid. Matter of fact, got 53% lauric acid. This is what's in mother's milk, is the lauric acid to protect the babies against all kind of diseases. And the coconut oil, 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. Number 4, GMOs. avoid generically engineered foods as they are typically treated with herbicides such as Roundup, glyphosate, and likely to be carcinogenic. A French research team that had extensively studied Roundup concluded it toxin to human cells and likely carcinogenic to humans. Choose fresh, organic, preferably locally grown foods grown within 200 miles of where you live at. There's all kind of what you call flea markets or food markets around metropolitan Detroit. And now with Google, we can put in there fresh organic food markets. More people and more people are becoming conscious and demanding and asking and requesting for organic foods. Supermarkets are now supplying that. Kind of remind me of when I started this 50 years ago. The only place you can get brown rice was at a health food store. Okay, I remember stands in the fruit cellar in Dearborn. I remember forget the name of the place, was on 6 Mile in Gratiot. He had Georgia Natunes. You can get the brown rice there. Other than that, that was it. But now you go any supermarket get brown rice, short grain, long grain. Even got basmati rice, which is a naturally white rice, and that the Indians use in their recipes, and definitely in India, but it hasn't been bleached of its nourishment. So, number 5, animal-based omega-3 fats. Normalize your ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 fats by taking a high-quality krill oil and reducing your intake of processed vegetable oil. We at Healthwise use the high-quality Salmon Plus oil that's been studied and tested for over 7 years and tested for over 400 contaminants, and the absorbability is extremely high. People can take it with food or without food. And it has 8 parts of the omega-3. Now, the one before that was taken from Dr. Wallet. EFA, essential fatty acids, had 6 parts. And it was a combination of seeds and fish. This one, the Salmon Oil Plus, got 8 parts total. Salmon oil. And see, the thing is, when you get some of these foods that got too much omega-6 in it, and it throws your immune system off. That's key for keeping the diseases under check. Natural. Okay, she finally got the message. Oh, okay, this is from my friend. She says, I'm a natural cancer survivor. One of the major reasons I'm a survivor is the use of chlorophyll um, before diagnosis. It goes hand in hand with oxygen therapy. I was vegan primarily before I knew the term. I support prevention as well as spiritual and lifestyle changes. I've seen miracle changes with the use of Asiatic tea, simple herbal formulas, and other institutional or natural nutritional supports. I've seen so many people with anger and frustration because traditional therapies don't work. So peace and love, my brother. That's from Lamia. A friend of mine who was calling me on the cell phone. But if you want to call in and give your testimonies, you can at the number here at 313-868-0342, 313-868-0351, and 313-868-4336. Now, the stabilized greens, guess what it's rich in? Chlorophyll. And chlorophyll is not but one mineral difference between plant chlorophyll and the human blood. The plant chlorophyll got the magnesium in it. The human blood got the iron in it. Other than that, the molecular structure is the same. So when you're taking the chlorophyll, that's rich. I've heard people tell me it changes the color of their blood because it got so much oxygen in it. And oxygen starves the cancer cells. Natural probiotics. Optimize your gut flora, will reduce inflammation and strengthen your immune system. Researchers have found a micro-dependent mechanism through which some cancer mount an inflammatory response that fuel their development and growth. They suggest that inhibiting inflammatory ketonites might slow cancer progress and improve the response to chemotherapy. Adding natural fermented foods to your daily diet is the easy way to prevent cancer or spread recovery. You can always add a high-quality probiotic supplement as well, but naturally fermented foods are best. How best? The supplements that we carry at Healthwise, that we did for about 15 years, had 3.4 billion sources of friendly bacteria probiotics per pill. And people was taking 2 to 4 a day, getting great results, enhancing that friendly bacteria in your colon. Then the company came up with one that's got 50 billion friendly bacteria per pill. Now, that's more, of course, from 3.4 to 50 billion per pill. Now, the fermented foods is in the trillions per mouthful. And some of the fermented foods we know about was pickle and sauerkraut. There's a lot more, but those are two that's very popular. We got the kabushi mushroom, which is a food. It's got trillions of friendly bacteria in this drink. So that's 2 or 3 sources to build up your natural immune system using your foods and your supplements. That's available at Healthwise at 3807 East 8 Mile Road. Again, friendly bacteria, fermented foods. Sorry about that. Exercise, exercise, exercise. Moving that body. When you exercise, it forces you to do deep breathing, which ends up pushing toxins throughout your whole body and out of your body. Exercise lowers the insulin levels, which creates a low sugar environment that discourages the growth and spread of cancer cells. In a 3-month study, exercise was found to alter immune cells into a more potent disease-fighting form in cancer survivors who have just completed chemotherapy. So Wayne told me that chemotherapy was really mustard gas that they put in people, and maybe 1 in 20 it helps. What I don't get is they used mustard gas in World War One, and it was killing everybody, the enemy and the friendly, the both sides of the fence. Everybody on the battlefield got killed from the mustard gas in during World War One. So in 1925, they had a Geneva Convention with these fighting nations come together and said, "Now we fight again. We agreed to not use mustard gas in the war, in the battlefields." Everybody agreed. How they turn around and start putting mustard gas into people is, when he was telling me, is this guy that had cancer during World War One, and he was going to die, so he decided to give his life to his country. And so while he was on the battlefield, they sprayed the field with this mustard gas, and it cured him of his cancer. Somebody put that in a report, and next thing you know, mustard gas cured cancer. What about the other 500-something people that was on the battlefield that got killed? It's crazy. But that's what it is. Mustard gas. He even went to a special meeting, Wayne. And he's a big guy, like a football player, when he was dealing with his cancer. And, he talked to his doctor and asked the doctor, "You know what's in chemo?" Doctor said, "No, just gave it to me, so I give it to the patients." He ain't even research on what's in the chemo. He just giving it to patients. So Wayne pursued and found out, well, what's going on, what's in it. He said, "Well, I don't know, but they're having this convention, but it's only for doctors and stuff that talked about chemo, where they make it at the factory, et cetera, et cetera." So Wayne said, okay. He got him a big old white doctor's coat, and he had another friend with him, was also a football player type size, and he got a doctor's coat. They went to this meeting, and the first place they took all these doctors was to the liquor store. I should say to the conference room, and got them drunk. And then they took them on a tour of the facility, and then took them back to the conference room, gave them some more alcohol. Then they started breaking all this stuff down. Of course, Wayne didn't drink any of that. He just acted like he was drinking, but he wasn't drinking no alcohol. So then, when it got to the question and answer stage, Wayne asked him, "Well, what is it made of?" And the guy said, "Mustard gas." He said, "You have that written down?" He said, "Yeah." "Can I have a copy?" "Sure, yeah." So he gave Wayne a copy of the report. Sure enough, chemotherapy is made from mustard gas. Later on, after the meeting, they took him back on another part of the tour, came back to the liquor store, to the lobby where all the liquor was at, the conference room, whatever. Then this other doctors, came up, who's running the facility, our boss, I guess, and asked for the report back. Wayne said, "I ain't giving it back." Now remember, Wayne, big football player, and his friend's big football player friend too. And the little doctor who was asking for the report couldn't take it from him, so he got the report and showed no ifs, ands, and buts. The chemo is made from mustard gas, and he shared it with us. Researchers and cancer organizations increasingly recommend making regular exercise a priority in order to reduce your risk of cancer and help improve cancer outcome. Research has also found evidence suggesting exercise can help trigger program cancer cell death in cancer cells. Ideally, your exercise program should include balance, strength, flexibility, high intense interval training. For help in getting started, refer to my peak physical program. Number 8, vitamin D3. Now, Dr. Barefoot told me about this 17 years ago, almost 18 years ago, how vitamin D3 helps fight cancer and about 2,000 other functions in the body. And they had to get enough of it, 10,000 IUs per day, 17 years ago. Now, people learn about the importance of vitamin D3 that you get from God for way of the sun. But we're in the northern hemisphere. Got snow today and stuff. No sun. But we needed 10,000 IUs a day. Supplements. Each pill is 5,000. Doctors are now prescribing 50,000 IUs to their patients per week. Okay, well, Dr. Barefoot suggested that people take 70,000. So 50, 70,000 key. There's scientific evidence you can increase your risk of cancer by more than half simply, excuse me, maybe that's the key word is decrease, okay? There's scientific evidence that you can decrease your risk of cancer by more than half simply by optimizing your vitamin D levels with appropriate sun exposure. Your serum levels should have a steady at 50 to 70 ng over milliliters. But if you are being treated for cancer, it should be close to 80 to 90 ng over milliliters for optimum benefits. If you take vitamin D3 and have cancer, it would be very pertinent to monitor your vitamin D blood levels regularly, as well as supplementing with vitamin K2, as K2 deficiency is actually what produces symptoms of vitamin D toxicity. To learn more, to see my previous articles on what you need to know about K2, D3, calcium, and magnesium. They all work so well together. You have what we call the vitamin, like the vitamin E and selenium has a synergy effect. It's like 3 plus 3 equals 7. You get more out of both of them when you combine them together. And that's how those four, calcium, magnesium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, work synergistically. You get more out of all of them when you get them in on a daily basis. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Make sure you are getting enough restorative sleep. Poor sleep can interfere with your melatonin production, which is associated with an increased risk of insulin resistance, weight gain, both of which contribute to cancer growth. Blackstrap molasses. Now, some people gives energy. With me, it helps me sleep and relax. So, tablespoon of that with some warm water before I go to sleep. So relaxing. Noni juice. Well, I get the regular noni juice, the concentrated or the super concentrated, is known to get a body what it needs to make the melatonin. Our body start making melatonin around about 9 p.m. and it peaks around 12 or 1, and then it starts slowing down around 3 and stops around 4. So ideally, we would go to bed when the sun go down around, well, now. But anyway, in wintertime, it goes down sooner. But ideally, we should sleep from 9 to, go to bed at 9, get up at 5 or something. Exposure to toxins. Reduce your exposure to environmental toxins like pesticides, herbicides, household chemical cleansers, synthetic air filters, and toxic cosmetics. At Healthwise, we have uh, aluminum-free deodorant. Did you know that 75% of the people who get breast cancer is in this quarter of the breast right next to the armpit? Because underneath your arm is an area where your body releases toxins. And when you put aluminum rich deodorant on, it blocks that duct so the toxins can't come out. Where did it go? In the breast. You got your cleansers. It's better to clean your glass in your house with a combination of apple cider vinegar and water than using chemicals. Exposure to radiation. Limit your exposure and protect yourself from radiation products by cell phones, towers, base station, Wi-Fi, as well as minimizing your exposure from radiation-based medical scans, including dental x-rays, CT scans, and monograms. Instead of getting a mammogram, you got the ultrasonic, which is no radiation being dumped into your body. The readings, but it's cheaper. So the mammograms cost $45, $1,000. Well, ultrasound only costs $7,000 to $8,000. And then the stress management. Stress from all causes is a major contributor to all diseases. Even the CDA states that 85% of diseases is driven by emotional factors. It is likely that stress and unresolved emotional issues may be more important than the physical ones. So make sure this is addressed. And he said, my favorite tool for resolving emotional challenges is emotional freedom techniques. That's what they call tapping. It reminds me of what I had learned from Tony Robbins at one time. This lady had breast cancer, and she heard about laugh therapy. So her and her husband went and got VCRs, because that's what was popular back in the 80s when I learned this. Got all these VCR tapes of all the comics they could find. And for 90 days, that's all they watched, is these comic VCRs to make them laugh. The lady went back to the doctor to diagnose her stage of breast cancer. It was completely gone. She had laughed cancer literally out of her body. Laugh therapy is real therapy, and it really works. A fake laugh will produce endorphins, but a real laugh produces even more endorphins. A real deep down make you cry type of laugh it gets from watching Richard Pryor make you cry because your laughter is so intense. That promotes so much healing in your body. This is called laugh therapy. Look it up. God has given us so many ways to fight these diseases. Prevention is a whole lot easier. Uh-oh. Yes, caller, you got a question or comment? I can't hear the caller.
Oh, quickly. Okay. I know you're about to go off. Hello?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask you about the hepatitis A, since this is a big breakout with poisoning us through the water. What could we do besides go through somebody to give us more poison through those vaccination shots? Thank you for taking my call.
Okay. Well, what they did up in Flint when they was water was poison is they took that Aquaman boost and they put it into their water because that's what they was doing in Japan. Their water had radiation in it. And the scientists had discovered this Aquaman boost, and he put it in their water in Japan, and it neutralized the radiation. When he took it up to Flint, it neutralized the poisonous substance that was in their water. And my own nephew, when he got those shots, he was 2 years old, was fine. When he got those shots, he had ended up with autism, been that way for 20 years, up until last year, when his mama got called into the office by the principal, by the teacher, and the counselor, and said, what did my son did now? They want to know what drug he's on because he's acting normal. You ask him to do something one time, he does it. He ain't disturbing nobody. Real cooperative. Using the Aquaman boost. It was neutralizing these poisons, like the report said, that people was getting from the herbicides and the pesticides and the toxins in the air and the water and the food that's in their clothes. It was remarkable. It's called Aquaman boost. I had a friend of mine that also got cancer. His diagnosis was extremely high. He started taking Aquaman boost at a high dosage, and within a short period of time, his immune system just so greatly improved. It's funny because he wanted to get his blood test done again, but the doctor said no, because you haven't taken anything that the doctor know of, but it's definitely taking stuff that God knows of, because it's called Aquaman boost, which is minerals and trace minerals. See, all diseases are caused by a lack of minerals and trace minerals. But give us a call at 366-DIET, or give me a call at 600-8532. That's 313-600-8532. And I can share other reports that I got from other doctors about things just like that. And one more thing to promote healing in the body is hugs. 5 hugs a day actually seriously promotes healing. I try to get 50. All right, y'all. Peace and love. And remember, a smile a day keeps the doctor away.